Afternoon, good morning, everyone. How are you today? Hope everyone's doing well. My name's Kevin Deere. Along with me, I have Vivian Martin, trainer extraordinaire. And with us as well, we have our super duper account manager, Carly Fotia. She'll be here to answer questions in our chat as we go along today and help keep us on track. We're just going to give another minute before we get started. I think we still have another 500 people that registered for today because of the big deadline that's looming upon us tomorrow. So we will get started in just a quick moment. Thanks, everyone. How are you, Viv?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm in the office.
You're,
How are you, Kev?
you sound like you're in a cave.
I'm at the lovely WeWorks office. There we
Yeah,
go.
our Vancouver WeWork office is
Uh,
very empty a lot of times, so it's very cavernous.
it is cavernous. I figured it was better than for everybody. You also have the ability to go in these little phone booths, but I'm in the actual office. So you can imagine what I'd sound from there. Oh my gosh.
All right, looks like registration has slowed for people joining, so we might as well get started. All right, everyone. For those that have just joined us, my name is Kevin Deere, and along with me is Vivian Martin and Carly Fotia. We're going to be your guides on the new FinTrack requirements and how Velocity is supporting you with with the system to help satisfy all these new regulations. I would say, and I've heard this in spades from lots of people that have seen other presentations of other competitors, we are the only integrated solution into your day-to-day activity. We've made it thoughtful and seamless into how you do business. And really, that's the way it should be. Um, as tech providers, we can decide to make it really easy or do nothing. We're trying to make it as easy as possible and not use third parties as a requirement and send you out of your day-to-day operating system to do it. So everything you are going to see today from us is integrated directly into Velocity. Um, and with that being said, we will get started just after a quick housekeeping item. For those that are going to have questions through the presentation, and you will, try and hold them to the end because we will probably answer many of your questions as we get through the content of today. There is a Q&A on the bottom right. I believe the chat is disabled for everyone, so don't use the chat. And then if you have a question that you would like to ask by using your voice, you can raise your hand at the end of the session and we'll address it then. Okay? All right. I will hand it over to you, Viv.
Perfect. Thank you, Kev. So, the REMIC course, okay, we're hoping everybody, this is Thursday, October 10th. If you haven't completed it or you don't have it in your upcoming calendar, definitely put that on your to-do list. It will give you a complete understanding and overview along with the test and certificate at the end of what these regulations entail. What we're doing for you today is showing you, unveiling what Velocity is providing you, the tools, so that you have the solutions in place. You never need to leave the system. So as we all know, October 11th, tomorrow, the regulations come into effect with the aim, the goal, and the result will be to reduce fraud. So there's 4 additional requirements that are going to be tightening for you as agents. So as an overview that Kevin and I are going to go into deeper, they are, number 1, implementing a compliance program. Now, as agents, you are part of brokerages that have healthy, strong compliance programs in place. What's going to be happening is a few more stringent guidelines imposed by FinTrack will be added to those compliance programs. Know your client, KYC. As good agents, as all of you are already doing a process to get to know your client. What FinTrack's doing is they have upped what you need to do, and you're going to layer that in, and Kevin and I are going to show you how that's integrated seamlessly right into Velocity. Number 3, transaction reporting. Yes, there is going to be additional transaction reporting required. We've provided you the tools within Velocity so that you are going to document it. What you were doing before will now be documented, and you will be able to determine when an additional transaction report needs to be filed. Okay, the STR, the suspicious transaction report. Number 4, record keeping and monitoring. Again, we have provided some tools that will raise the standards to FINTRAC's requirements effective tomorrow. So with that.
Okay. So KYC, know your clients. So a lot of the new regulations are really focused on making you understand the customer that's in front of you. Many of you have been doing this for years. If being the good brokers that you are, you're having these conversations, understanding your customer, understanding their income, their down payment, and making sure that the deal makes sense. This is all what KYC is all about. So the new regs that FINTRAC is bringing in, you've been doing, but now you just have to document more. So that's what I really want you guys to focus on, is just the documentation. So know your client, ID verification or identity verification. There's going to be a couple different ways that you can do that. According to FINTRAC, there are 5 ways, and we'll get into that in a second. You're also going to have to know whether your client is a PEP, a politically exposed person. So there are other systems that are out there that will run a PEP scan, but you should also be doing a PEP disclosure, PEP declaration. So we're going to show you how that is integrated into your process. Sanction screening, again, this is something that you have to do now, as whenever you start dealing with a customer and you've taken their information, they've become a customer. Not when you submitted the deal, it's when you've taken their information, effectively when they signed the consent for them to have your information. You have to screen those individuals against UN and Canadian sanction lists and terrorist watch lists. All that's going to be done for you within Velocity. And lastly, ongoing monitoring. It's, we have to go above and beyond what we do and just focus on the transaction. We now have to look at your portfolio and the life cycle of that mortgage with you. So there's some new ongoing regulations on how to monitor your portfolio. And again, Velocity is taking care of that for you.
Perfect. Okay, this is exciting. Let's talk about the PEP. As Kevin mentioned, starting tomorrow, the additional requirement will be that your client needs to self-declare. Are they or are they not a politically exposed person, a PEP? So what we've done is simply added in to your mortgage online application. So if you're has experience in sending out the client experience, also known as the client journey, all we've done is added it at the consent final page or the review page. So your client fills out your online application just as they normally would, no changes. But now when they get to the final page, when they're ticking consent for Castle, ticking consent for credit, they now will see what you visually see on the screen right here, the additional question of where they have to say, am I or am I not a politically exposed person? So as the norm is, your clients may not know what that is. They will just be able to simply click on that purple question mark. A full definition will pop up for them. And then they need to say, am I, any of my family members, any close associates, any other mortgage applicants, have I ever been a domestic or foreign PEP within the last 5 years, which is fully explained in the definition. If their answer is no, no additional questions will pop up. If the answer is yes, then what will unfold are these additional questions that you see in front of you. They need to fill out their first and last name, what is their PEP status, domestic or foreign, the organization that they served with or currently serving with, country, when it started, etc. So some common examples for domestic PEPs would be school trustee, city alderman, councillor, mayor, judge. So once this is completed and your client submits the application, as is the norm, The email that they will receive will have a copy of the electronically signed consents and include the electronically signed PEP, along with that request for additional documents. So it's integrated right within the system. And remember, you as an agent, you get a copy of both the PEP and the credit consent deposited right into the compliance portion of the condition and document section. Just as you visually see here, there was 3 borrowers, they signed the consent. You can see the green paperclip icon. And then below that, we've got a little sneak peek that Kevin's going to speak on. The next point that you will be actually completing is the borrower AML risk assessment. So what if you actually are an agent that likes to meet with your client either through a Zoom call, a phone call, and you are going to manually create the app? Or you have an existing client, you're going to duplicate it. You then will need to add those PEP conditions either through making them a smart condition or just going under your compliance form section and adding them to each deal. Then you will need to ask your client, are they or are they not a PEP? If it's a yes, those additional questions will unfold. If it's a no, that is the end. You then, right from within Velocity, everybody, we've got DocuSign. The form is pre-templated. You send that off. The client can complete the questions with their correct answers, and a copy is deposited right into the deal electronically signed. So we've integrated this right into the system, be it online, or if you are part of the process is that you manually create the app.
Okay. So what we've tried to do is make everything very thoughtful on how we approach these new integrations. So as part of your day-to-day activity, with those PEP disclosures, now the SMART rules, adding those conditions from the online application to your conditions and docs section, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you. So the next piece, which I think has been grossly misunderstood by many people, including competitors that try to scare you into thinking that you have to do IDV, electronic verification, on all your clients to meet these new regulations. That is not the case. So we're going to defunct that, demystify it, and tell you what those regulations really mean are. There's actually 5 ways to identify your client and verify that identity. The way that you guys have been doing it day in and day out, probably for most of your careers, is you pull their credit bureau. So that does not change. And if you pull the client's credit bureau and they have 3 years worth of active Canadian credit history, you have checked the box for verifying that client's identity for AML. Okay? No need to do the IDV if they have their 3 years worth of credit history. This does not supersede or exclude you from having to get a copy of someone's ID to satisfy your provincial regulator. Still do everything that you need to do to make your file compliant based on what the office tells you. But the AML requirement is they only have to have 3 years worth of active Canadian credit history. So that means really 95% of your applications are going to be satisfied. The only ones you really have to worry about are clients that are new to Canada, your young clients or kids of returning clients that may only have credit for 2 years because they're 20 years old. Or you may have a spouse that has credit in their other partner's name and it's going through, so you'll have to do something slightly different. So what you can do is you meet your clients face to face, you physically verify their ID and take a copy of it. It's all about documenting that. So what we have in our AML risk assessment really walks you through that and making sure that you can satisfy those requirements. So the risk assessment has to be filled out early on before you do your submission. And it asks things like your subject property, is it high risk? Meaning, is it in a high crime area? Is there something that you know that is funky about the property? And it's a simple yes or no answer. So again, this is all about documenting. Is that person a PEP? So again, if they filled out your application online, this is automatically going to be filled out for you. So if they are a PEP and it says yes, it'll put in the drop down whether they're foreign or domestic. It also asks things about their income, their country of origin. Is there anything else funky about your interaction with that customer? So all of that is there to guide you through your conversation with your customer that you're probably already having. You're just now documenting it. The borrower identity section has right in it, do they have 3 years worth of credit history? I pulled credit, yes. They have 3 years, yes. You satisfied. If you've got physical ID, you met in person, perfect, done. Now, if you can't satisfy those first two conditions, you can use a third, being IDV. So we have integrated right into the process. There will be a button in the report here that you can click to send the IDV verification to your customer. We use a company called Fastkey to do it. It opens up their dashboard for you to put in the client details. It's really name, email address, contact information, and it sends off an email to your client to complete the IDV. So IDV is a photo of, they take a photo of their ID and they verify it through biometrics to their facial features. Okay, so that can be all done for you. That is the only thing in our solution that is used by a third party, and it's minimal cost, $2.50 per every ID verification that you need to do. Again, should be less than 5% of your transactions that you're doing things on. Okay. Again, at the end of this report, you have a subjective assessment of that client, whether they're low, medium, or high. Okay. This is going to determine whether your office is required to submit an STR, a suspicious transaction report, to FINTRAC. Again, if you document everything here, no problem. Now, one of the questions we normally get asked is, if someone is high risk, can I still do the deal? So the answer is actually simple. If you feel that that customer is funky, they can't explain their down payment, they brought it into you and it was in a brown bag of cash on your desk, probably not a deal that you're going to want to do. However, if they are a foreign PEP that automatically gets classified as high risk, but they can explain their income, their down payment makes sense, everything else about the deal makes sense, you can still do that deal. Okay? But refer to the REMIT course, the FINTRAC guidelines, and use your office to say, hey, I have to rate this person high risk because of this, this, and this, but I think it's okay. You're 99% of the time, you can still do the deal. Okay? That was a little long-winded, but hopefully to the point.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. That's absolutely out there. Thanks, Kev. Okay, so reporting also going to be tightening of that, effective in just honestly not many hours, effective tomorrow, October 11th. So what you're going to see, each one of you as an agent, under your report section on the left-hand side of your velocity account, is this borrower risk assessment report. It is a great overview of all the deals that you have in your book of business right now. So what its purpose is so that you as an agent can track completion of all the AML requirements compiled together in all your deals. So from left to right, nicely color-coded, you've got the percentage of low to medium to high risk borrowers that compose in all of the total of your deals. Then you've got how many risk assessments are still outstanding, how many PEPs have been completed, how many IDs you verified either physically versus how many IDs you verified versus the credit bureau. And if you look to the right, you can actually drill down, you can see the deal and the specifics. You can do a date range up to a maximum of 120, and you can export that as a CSV. So this is going to be available to all of your agents. The other thing that you should know is that your broker owners will have a global view that will include you and all the other agents within the brokerage. So your brokerage has been given the tools so that you and they will stay completely compliant with the new FINTRAC standards. And remember, from that screen, if there is any reason for your broker owners or you as an agent to file an additional suspicious transaction report, as Kevin was referring to, your broker owner would be brought into the decision-making and would be responsible for filing that transaction report. They would have that capability within the broker admin. Now, this additional pop-up, starting tomorrow, you will see if you've completed the deal. And because this is new, we're all learning, we've guided your broker admins so that they have the decision. If you as an agent go to submit and you have not completed the borrower risk assessment for all applicants, you may have a hard stop, which means you will just see that blue complete risk assessment. You will not see the option to submit without it completed. You will then back out, complete that risk assessment, and then when you go to submit, you will have clear path to the lender. Your brokerage admins will be making this decision so that you will be able to see if you have a hard or a soft stop.
Okay, last but not least, sanctions and ongoing monitoring. So again, this is something that comes up pretty regular as questions in our sessions. So first of all, you have to start reviewing sanction lists as soon as that person becomes a client. Like I said earlier, if they've signed a consent, you have to start scanning these sanction lists to see whether your clients are on them. Again, we have tried to automate that process as much as possible. So when you pull a credit bureau, it will automatically put that client through the sanction screening. We are not using an Equifax service. You don't have to subscribe to that service. We have it built directly into Velocity at no charge. So that is at the point at which the screening is done. So it's against UN and Canadian sanction lists, terrorist watch lists, and a few others. But those are the things that are happening right away when you pull the bureau. Now, if you're a broker that gets a consent signed by a customer and you're going to do a pre-qual for that client and not pull a bureau, again, we've made it easy for you because there, you'll see on the screen, again, this is in the compliance form section, there is a sanction screening condition, and you are able to just click the green button in that condition by each of the borrower's names, and it will automatically screen those individuals for you. Okay. Again, that puts it in also into the ongoing monitoring. So depending on what you rate risk that client, there's different requirements for the frequency and the duration of the ongoing monitoring. Again, we've taken care of all of that for you. It is automatically happening behind the scenes at the appropriate times against media lists, UN sanctioned UN lists, Canadian watch lists, terrorist lists, media screenings, all that stuff. It's being done for you. Okay. Should the status of any of your borrowers or clients change during that life cycle of that mortgage, you, as well as your broker owner and compliance officer, will get an email notification of that change. It will also be documented in the file. So again, covering yourself, like I use the acronym CYA, everything is right there for you. You're protected because you have all the monitoring and everything as part of that deal in the portfolio. Okay, so we again have taken care of all this for you at no additional cost. Okay.
Fantastic.
That being said, that brings us to the end of our presentation. So a couple different things to note. Tonight in our release, everything goes live. So everything that we've showed you today will be there tomorrow morning. You will be able to use all the forms. It will automatically be part of your client experience. It will automatically update. So if you have your online application links on your website, you do not have to do anything. It is already there. Okay. And one of the questions that people ask is, if I have a deal, but it hasn't funded as of tomorrow, do I still need to do this process? I would say refer to your office, but if I were you, I would still have them fill out the forms or fill out the PEP declaration, and you do the risk assessment because the deal's funding after the 11th. That's my personal opinion, but again, refer to your office and your compliance person to see what they want you to do. Okay?
Okay, Jill's got a question. Jill, is this a generic PDF form we can use up front? Are you talking about the PEP? Or does it have to be sent afterwards once the application is built in Velocity?
So you
Very
can
good question.
you can generate the PEP document in Velocity without having even an applicant's name. You do have to pre-select either yes or no. So I don't know if we could get a blank copy of that form.
Yeah, if you can put yes, it will create the blank copy. It only puts in the templated signature and answer boxes if you're sending it through DocuSign. You could email it to your client and they could do it the old-fashioned way with a pen and paper if you really wanted them to.
Cool.
Perfect. Shane, does a $2.50 IDV charge get charged directly to the agent from the third-party partner, or is it a Velocity charge? Kev, you want to take that?
So yeah, great question. So you're actually registering with Fastkey yourself. You're creating your own account with them. You can have your credit card on file with them, and they will charge you the first of the following month for all that you did in the previous month. So it's going to be a direct charge to the agent, to your credit card by the third-party provider. It's not a Velocity charge.
Perfect. Yeah, Jill's talking about the PEP. Cheryl, if I do an application over the phone, send the documents through DocuSign for signing prior to doing the application, how does Velocity know the forms are done? Kev, did you want to take that?
Yeah, great question. So when you're sending out the forms, the creation of the PDF is part of that compliance piece. So the only form that you'd be sending to your client, if you're not, and you're doing it through DocuSign, is the PEP disclosure. So once that comes back as signed, the system knows that it is complete. However, the AML risk assessment is done by you. There's no client involvement. The client should not know that you're assessing them. Do not share any of that information with the customer because there's a thing called tipping. If you think someone is high risk and you tip them off, that's against the regulations. So just be careful of that. So the system knows the AML is complete when you answer the questions, and you create the PDF to store it for your audit purposes and your compliance purposes.
Great. Nicole, if applications are in progress, for example, client experience is sent and not completed by the client, will these additional requirements automatically populate for the client? Good question.
Yeah, great question. If the application isn't complete and the consents are not done, yes, it automatically updates for you.
Perfect, perfect. And I know Carly's answering this for George and a few other attendees. What if you use another electronic signature application?
You can do it to your heart's consent, again, with the PEP form. You just have to make sure it's stored within your file, within Velocity, and then the system will know that it's satisfied because you have that document there and you're good to go.
Perfect. Here's another one from Sharon. If applicants for deals are funded prior to October 11th, do they have to do ongoing monitoring?
No, you don't. However, we are actually throwing in the monitoring piece on files that are 120 days prior to this regulation coming into effect, just to make sure we catch everything. So you may have the odd one that's a prior application.
Perfect. Alan's got a good question. If the risk changes over time, who responds and reports to FinTrack or lender?
It is the broker owner's responsibility to do that, or the office's responsibility.
Perfect.
And so if there is a change, like I mentioned on that slide, an email notification will go to your broker owner, office admins, with a link to the FinTrack form for updating.
Thanks. There's a question here about how do we register for Fastkey that I think is worth answering.
Yeah, so first time you actually click on the link, it'll actually take you to their registration page. And you just enter your information. So again, tomorrow morning, you can go in, click on an AML condition, click on Fastkey, use that link, and it'll register you automatically.
Perfect. Definitely. Is the form for brokers to complete for risk assessment auto-populate through inputting, or does it need to be pulled and then filled out? So
The only auto population in the risk assessment is if they've done the online PEP disclosure. You have to do the rest yourself. You have to check it off yourself. Just because we know you've pulled the credit bureau doesn't mean that the system has 3 years worth of active Canadian credit history. So it's on you to look at the bureau and then check that box to say, yes, they've got 3 years worth of history.
perfect. And Megan, can you explain monitoring? What is the expectation for the agent?
For the agent, it's the portfolio or the life cycle of that mortgage, again, based on the time or the risk assessment. It can be for a period of 2 years all the way up to 5 years at different durations. So daily, we pull new sanctions and watch lists, and then we scan the portfolio at the appropriate times to make sure we catch all those for every single mortgage. The onus is on the agent is that it is in a program that does it for you. But really, that has to be set up by your brokerage to say, hey, this is how we want you to do it. So refer back to your compliance officer and what steps they want you to take. But most people have, that are on Velocity have converted their entire offices to Velocity because it's built right into the platform.
Someone's asking about REMIC. You would have to go to the REMIC website and sign up. They are offering the course ongoing. It may be at a cost, but yes, you'll check the REMIC website and sign up for that. And the recording, as Carly, Kevin, and I have shared, we will be sending out to everyone who is registered later today.
Yeah. So what I'll also tell you is that there will be, there's actually on our website already on the Learn page, there are training videos and step-by-steps on how to complete the PEP form, on how to complete the AML risk assessment. There's a section for office administrators and broker owners to setting up the hard stops and how to use the reporting. So really encourage you guys to take a look at that. It will be in our release notes tonight as a reminder, and there'll be links in the email first thing tomorrow morning. So don't be one of those people that just disregards the release notes. Take a look because this one's important.
Absolutely. And I just put in the chat the link to our Learn site with the new AML step-by-step and the videos that are available there.
Okay. I have to say the training teams, Carly, Michelle, Viv, they've done a great job in making sure that you guys are all covered on knowing exactly what you need to do in as simple as possible method. The video is 4 minutes long to cover you on some major things that can avoid those $250 to $1 million fine that you could get if you aren't on side with the new regulations.
Perfect. Everyone here, if you don't feel your question has been answered in full, you can always reach out to trainingteam@newton.ca and we can try and answer that for you, okay, via the email. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Carly.
Thanks, Viv. Thanks, Carly.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great day and you got this. We're here for you. It's going to be just documenting what you've already done, and that's being amazing agents. So I wish you the best of luck, and we are here for you. Wonderful.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Okay, take